to start, Mohammed, or is it, yep, okay. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to those of us who are here in person. It's good to present to a crowd and see some former students here as well from previous years. Hopefully it doesn't bring back too many stressful memories for you. I'm Mr. Hannon, so I'm the Year 11-12 coordinator at Pinnacle College. So firstly, this is mainly about subject selection for the SACE. Stage 1 is the emphasis, so Year 11, but we'll talk a little bit about Stage 2 and the 2024 year for your students and your children. So moving along, just introductory information about the SACE. So the South Australian Certificate of Education. It's internationally recognised and it paves the way for young people to move on from school for further training and study. So developing research skills, communication skills and academic curiosity. So it ensures that students gain the skills they need for the future as citizens in the workplace. And if you successfully complete it, then you receive your South Australian Certificate of Education and likely an ATAR as well, a university entrance score. So how the SACE works, so as I was saying before, it's a 2-stage certificate that's run in secondary schools, so students receive an equal platform for the future. So whether that be university or TAFE or other avenues of professional development. So stage 1 is generally completed in Year 11 and stage 2 is generally completed in Year 12. So those terms are interchangeable. But there are some exceptions. There are certain stage 2 subjects completed in Year 11 for some students. And there are certain stage 1 subjects completed in Year 10 as well for some students, and we'll go into that later. So I'll just play a short video that goes for about 2 or 3 minutes. That just, I guess, explains how the SACE works really clearly, and then I'll give some extra elaborations.
All students can be successful within the SACE. It's a qualification for everyone where students can choose subjects that combine their interests, skills and career goals, and also their style of learning. Here's how it works. To achieve the SACE, you need 200 credits over 2 stages. There's the compulsory component, starting with the personal learning plan, followed by the minimum numeracy and literacy components, and the research project in stage 2. That makes 50 credits. You can't complete the qualification without these components. The next 90 credits can be made up of a combination of stage 1 and stage 2 subjects. Did you know there are more than 40 subjects to choose from in the SACE? As well as a wide range of vocational education and training options and other recognised learning that all counts towards your SACE project in stage 2. This is where your school's course counsellor can really help you to find the best pathway. So now there's 60 credits left. This final component must be gained from subjects studied at the stage 2 level. Most students continue subjects they've already studied at stage 1. So 200 credits with 90 credits completed at stage 1 and 2 plus 60 credits at stage 2 with a C- grade or better means you will receive this. But what about the ATAR? The South Australian Tertiary Admission Centre, better known as SACE, is responsible for calculating your ATAR. To be eligible for an ATAR, you must study 90 credits at the stage 2 level. SACE also has information on scaling and how to apply for tertiary education. The SACE website has more information about your SACE journey. The South Australian Certificate of Education, learning at the pace of change.
So I've got my essay written, and I've been working on it for about a week.
So that one there is just a really good visual example that shows how the SACE works in 2 stages and how you need to build up the credits to firstly get your SACE and then achieve your ATAR as well. And there's a distinction between those two. Because if you get your South Australian Certificate of Education, it doesn't necessarily mean you also get an ATAR. There are slightly additional components to get a university entrance score. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, but just make sure you're aware of the difference between SACE, Certificate of Graduating, Year 12, and then the ATAR, which is required to enter university. So it's slightly different. As just recapping the key points, 200 credits to achieve the SACE. We're talking about 10 credit subjects and 20 credit subjects. So generally, a 10 credit subject is 1 semester's worth of work. So if a student completes 1 semester's worth of work, they get 10 credits towards the 200 they need in their SACE. If they complete a whole year of work, then they would get 20 credits. So at Pinnacle College, we offer a range of subjects in Year 11. And if they complete one in semester 1, they get 10 credits. So let's say biology, semester 1, 10 credits, semester 2, biology, 20 credits. So for their whole Year 11 studies for biology across both semesters, 20 credits. Then for biology, if they do it in Year 12, because it's a full year subject, they will get an additional 20 credits for Year 12 biology. So getting 40 credits total for Year 11 and 12 biology across both years. And you need more subjects beyond that to get the necessary credits. So at Pinnacle College, students generally tend to graduate with more than 200 credits because we start certain SACE subjects in Year 10, like your PLP and your integrated learning. That doesn't necessarily mean they get a higher score at the end of Year 12 though. It just gives them extra options to study. So if you do 250 credits, it doesn't necessarily mean you get a better result. So you can still get 200 credits and achieve just fine. It's about how well you perform within the subjects to determine how well you go at the end of Year 12. So this is in the booklets that have been handed out to students at the subject selection information day last week, so hopefully they brought them home. If not, you're welcome to email me and ask for an electronic copy. So
50 credits.
on the top right, you've got Year 10, so PLP, personal learning plan, essential English, integrated learning. They're all completed by every Year 10 student in Year 10. So by the end of Year 10, your children all have 30 SACE credits essentially. So then they're moving on to Year 11. So our boxes here, maths, English, and electives. So as it alluded to in the video, maths and English are compulsory in Year 11 at some level. And then there's 3 elective subjects to choose from. So elective 1, 2, and 3, plus the research project. So across the whole year in Year 11, if you do 2 semesters of maths, 20 credits, 2 semesters of English, 20 credits, plus 3 elective subjects, totaling 60 credits. So in Year 11, you've already done from your stage 1 subjects 60, 80, 100 credits. So by the time you finish Year 11, plus the work you've done in Year 10, students will generally have 120, 130 SACE credits. Meaning by the time they get onto Year 12 and pick the 4 subjects required for an ATAR, which is displayed in this box, that's 80 more credits. Plus there's an option of a 5th subject if the student wants to take it on. And that can, give you extra credits for your total. The one that's in blue up here though is an important one, research project. So research project is a stage 2 subject, as you can see. It's a compulsory SACE subject. And we do it in Year 11 to give, students the best opportunity to manage their workload. Year 12 is a demanding year, and if they have one stage 2 subject under their belt heading into Year 12, it just lightens the workload. Heading into Year 12, it just lightens. A couple of differences in the chart that haven't been. Accelerated pathways. Some of your children might be doing accelerated maths. Some of your children stage 1, which accelerated maths is for. In stage 1, stage 2, this box is for. If they've been in the accelerated maths program, if they've also accelerated maths programs, they would also be learning stage. That's only a select group of students. That's only who they are. Students, and they all know who they are. So going into some of the requirements, PLP, personal learning plan, which your children are doing this year, personal learning plan, which your children are doing stage 1 subject, 1 semester, they must get a stage 1 subject, 1 semester, they must get a C grade. Science to be very achieved, so it's not something to stress. Science to be very achieved, setting their own goals, stress about it, all about getting their own goals, career pathways over the next 5 years of subject, career pathways that pass PLP subject, but they must pass PLP to get their SACE. So then the next component is the literacy. So then the next component is a range of English subjects. So for a range of English subjects that we offer, there must be two semesters where they're a C grade. There must be two semesters where they're a C grade now. That's what we offer essential English now. So your children are currently studying essential. They can already hopefully meet. So they can already hopefully meet half that literacy component before they even start. And the final one, the final two, numeracy. Final one. So the final two, numeracy, so having to pass at least one semester, so having to pass at least one semester or two journey, and then finally research project to journey, and finally research project better, C- grade. So if you don't achieve any of these things, pass the SACE. So if you don't achieve any of these things, the reason being your SACE certificate. The reason being institutions want their university institutions want courses to be people coming into their courses, certain capability of literacy skills, certain capability of literacy skills, function in those academic settings, research basic level, function in those academic settings, just proving level to the SACE board and also just proving to the SACE board and also university criteria that you can. And also achieving a C- grade. And also achieving a C- grade. So once you have met these level, so once you have met these components. Physical education, business innovation, they're just some of the subjects that don't have an exam because they're more suited to a final end of year assignment instead of being examined in a 2-hour period. So your maths and your science subjects and English as an additional language, they have exams, but certain ones don't. And that suits certain students who prefer to express their learning in, I guess, longer periods of time rather than a certain exam block. So this is just a nice chart here, which is also in your booklet, just showing exactly where the 200 credits come from. So at the bottom here, you've got your 200 credits, and then you've got the key here where you get various categories of credits from. So green is your essential credits that you need to collect through literacy, numeracy, and your PLP. Yellow is your stage 2 credits, so the research project, compulsory part, and the 3 subjects which students choose to do as electives in Year 12, so biology, physics, chemistry, art, PE, etc. Lastly, and this is, I guess, the main focus of tonight, now you've got this broader information, is the stage 1 credits and the subjects your child chooses to pick for 2023 next year. And that makes up at least 90 credits of the 200. So we've talked a lot about the SACE and credits, but like I said at the beginning, the ATAR is a different component entirely, so the Australian Tertiary Admissions Rank. That's the score that a student gets at the end from 0 all the way to 99.95, which are used by universities to select students for various subjects. So it's a measure of a student's overall achievement in the SACE compared with other students, and your goal is to produce the best score you're capable of naturally. But the main thing to take away from that is the compared to other students part. So it's actually a ranking. So it's not possible for everyone to achieve above a 95 because everyone is ranked between this spectrum here. So just keep that in mind in terms of setting realistic goals. Like work is compared to each other at the end of stage 2. So the exams are marked against each other. The external assessments that are in non-examined subjects like art and PE is compared to one another. The relative grades are assigned, and that's where the final score comes from. I'll give you examples on how that works with specific subjects in a minute. One thing to note though is stage 1 subjects don't count towards a student's ATAR. So most of the year, all the Year 11 subjects except research project don't actually go towards the final Year 12 score. So research project can though, but we do it in Year 11, like I said, to give a bit of breathing space in terms or in year 12. The last thing to know is that ATAR is calculated from the best 90 credits of stage 2 subjects. So that's those 4 electives plus research project as a minimum. I say 4 electives because once a student in year 11 hopefully has passed the literacy and numeracy component for maths and English, then they do have flexibility in year 12 to do biology, physics, chemistry, and art, for example. So you don't need to do maths or English in year 12. Once you've got those numeracy and literacy components, then you can head to areas of strength in year 12. So those best 90 credits work in a couple of ways. So what that means is, using that example before, if you've got biology, chemistry, physics, and art, that is 80 credits for subjects. If the student did well in research projects the year before, in stage 1, then they may choose to use that research project grade towards their ATAR, and that's the 90 credits. Keeping in mind, research project is a 10 credit subject, not a 20. But a student might choose to take up a 5th subject in year 12 because they weren't happy with their research project grade, and instead that 5th subject goes towards the 90 credits and research project isn't used. So if you take on extra subjects, there's nothing wrong with that. You're just, broadening the field so you can get the best possible results and leave out any results such as research project or a maths maybe that you didn't perform as well as you would have liked in. So that's what certain students do. If they need a certain maths as a prerequisite or a certain science as a prerequisite, they'll do that subject still, but they may only get a C- or a C. That's fine because they picked 4 other subjects and research project that all have higher grades and it doesn't affect their ATAR. So it's from the best 90 credits. So just some practical examples. That's a lot of information to take in without context. So these are 3 examples of ATARs from previous years. So the one on the left here, the final ATAR was 93.35. So that student did physics, maths methods, English as an additional language, PE, biology. Right, it was a 7, then biology wouldn't be used. It's all about playing to students' strengths and how they perform. Looking at the other ATAR here of 71.4, you can see in English, general maths, visual arts, and biology. That's their top 4 subjects there. They didn't pick a 5th subject for whatever reason, but because their research project grade was quite strong. A research project grade of 8.45 out of 10 compared to 5.55 out of 10 meant that they were able to have a bit more flexibility in terms of 4 versus 5 subjects. I'll talk more about the value of research project in a minute, but you can see that having a good grade does give a bit of flexibility in subject choice. At the end of the day, though, it comes down to how they perform individually in year 12, and you can see that despite struggling with research projects in year 11, this student, they did quite well in their remaining subjects in year 12, compared to this person doing well in year 11 in research project and struggling at stage 2 level. So lastly, just another example, this student gets an ATAR of 90.8. So physics, chemistry, EAL, general maths, their top 4 subjects, 17, 17, 16, 16 out of 20. Their biology grade was their 5th weakest, or their 5th best subject, probably a better way of putting it, but it was still better, half of it, than their research project score. So instead of using their 6.4 for research projects, they use half their biology grade as their weakest subject, and the half of it replaces research project. So on to the research project now. It can contribute to the ATAR, as we saw, it doesn't have to. And as we've said multiple times, it's completed in year 11 to reduce that workload in year 12. So you're just emphasising there that if they get it done in year 11 and do it well, then it does free them up. There's been students who've got A or A minus in research projects in year 11, and at the very start of year 12, they've said, okay, compared to doing 5 subjects in year 12 and having to juggle all of that workload, because I did well in research projects in year 11, I can use that strong grade, and then I'll have more time in the 4 remaining subjects to focus on achieving well in those. So that's why it's underlined there, just making the most of the opportunity in year 11 to achieve well in research projects. So I guess make year 12 that little bit easier. So this one is just about the PLP. So going into a little bit more detail, they would have been completing it now, correct? PLP now, yeah. So PLP currently ongoing for our year 10 students in semester 2. So as you can see here, it's just an opportunity to begin thinking about their future. So it's a personal learning plan, so it's all very individualised. And it's all about incorporating their interest and strength in terms of setting achievable goals for the future. So part of the assessments for the PLP, they think about the career path they want to get into, and they consider prerequisites for future courses. So prerequisites being certain subjects at year 12 level that you have to do to enter various university pathways. And I guess interact with various tertiary organisations and university students about courses and careers of interest. So part of the PLP, they have to conduct surveys and gather information and speak to experts in the field to see what it's actually like in terms of pursuing that particular pathway. So it just gets them thinking broadly about what I want to do in the future, and then what do I have to do at school to open that pathway up for me. This process allows students to then select the most appropriate subjects in year 11 or in year 10 for year 11, which is beginning as of tonight. So just some last pieces of advice before the subject selection forms get sent out this evening. So to a point, keep your options open. So if you know you want to go down a certain pathway, e.g. a type of engineering that may require like a physics or a chemistry, then you would naturally select that subjects. But one thing is to be real with yourself. So do be real with yourself as well. So if you're currently in science struggling with year 10 science, struggling to get a C in year 10 science, it's not necessarily, it won't be getting any easier moving forward. Naturally the workload becomes more demanding and the content becomes more challenging as you go through schooling. So if you're struggling in year 10 science, you really have to consider, is it best for me to pick these sciences because you might struggle and then therefore lose motivation and then change subjects anyway. One thing we always recommend is try not to choose for friendship groups or certain teachers. We don't know which teachers are teaching which subjects next year. So some students often base their preferences on that and get an almighty shock when they don't see this person in front of that class. So pick it on enjoyment, strengths and current successes in year 10 based on teachers or friendship groups. And scaling as well. So scaling is a sort of a moderating tool that occurs at the very end of year 12. It looks at patterns of subject combinations and then how that may affect, I guess, the student performance in any given year. So if students pick, I guess, subjects that have a very significant level of academic rigour, so maths methods, English, chemistry, then those subjects tend to, I guess, be supported by scaling. But as I said, it has a high level of academic rigour, so there's a lot of demanding work that goes into that. So if a student picks those subjects for the purposes of scaling and then gets low C's or even D grades, scaling is not going to help them anyway. So it's best to pick a subject that you're going to do well in, say physical education, art, and society and culture, that you know that's your strength, because if you receive an A grade in that subject, SACE doesn't want to punish individuals on having success just because their strengths are creative arts or being physically active in PE. So those subjects don't scale negatively if you have success in them. So just think, what am I going to be good at in year 11 and 12? And I'll pick it because therefore I'm passionate about it and want to work hard, not because the scaling's great and then struggling for motivation because you don't connect with the subject. I think this is just about it. So almost done, 1 or 2 more slides, thanks for your patience. Subject selection rounds, so how it works is there are 2 initial rounds in the subject selection process. So the first will take place after tonight. So a Google form will be sent out to all year 10 students in an email. And then that's just a list of subjects from top to bottom, and they pick their top 3 elective subjects. So the sciences, PE, arts, society and culture, business, legal studies, history. It's all open at the moment. And then we see what the most popular choices are, and we offer the classes based upon that. So for example, we haven't taught modern history at Pinnacle College before in year 11 or 12, but if there's a big passion in the current year 10s for modern history or legal studies, which we've never offered, for example, then enough students selected will find the most appropriate teacher to teach that subject, train them up in that certain area, and then we'll open the class up beginning from stage 1 and moving into stage 2. And that's what that second round is for. So once we get that information about these are the most popular subjects and these will be viable class sizes, then the second round begins. And unfortunately, if certain students pick, say, economics, but there were only 1 or 2 students to choose economics, we wouldn't be able to open that class, just because it's not viable as a school to have a teacher teaching 2 students across year 11 and 12. So yeah, we apologise if certain subjects aren't offered, but it's dictated on interests. And there'll always be biology and chemistry and physics and subjects like physical education and psychology, society and culture, because they have a strong establishment at the school. Students going up through year 7 to 10 see them being taught and they're passionate about it. So the main subjects will be offered, but there's sometimes variation in 1 or 2 electives. And that's what I was saying about the second round of offers. So basically after tonight, there'll be 1 week for that first round of subjects. So currently Thursday night of week 5 at the moment. So Thursday night of week 6 will be the last night for students to make their round 1 choices. And then after that, the following day, the second round will be sent out in a Google form. And students will pick subjects based on the preferences of the majority of the cohort. And we ask students to select a reserve subject in round 1, 2, just so they're thinking, okay, if this subject doesn't get offered, then at least mentally I'm preparing for a backup to come into place. And then there'll probably be 1 week for round 2, and then the subjects will be confirmed before the end of term 3 for 2023. So thanks so much for your attention. My contact details are up there, my email address is on the board. So if you have any questions and you didn't attend tonight, you're most welcome to email them through to me, or let me know if you want to speak over the phone or have a meeting face to face with any questions. More than happy to do so. If that's not visible for you, then please just ask your child and they can pass my email address on to you. I'm sure they will have it after tonight once I send out to everyone the subject selection form. So I think we're on just after 6, so it went a little bit long, so I'm sorry for that, but we're all finished now. And yeah, like I said, contact me with any questions. Thank you. So yeah, thanks for those that came today, especially. If you've got any questions to ask me.